To follow up on Senator Collins's outline of the second round of PPP, I think it's important first to remind everybody how we got to this place. The goal when we did it the first time around was to not only allow small businesses to survive what was then uncertain as to how long it would take, but also to keep their workers attached to employment. We know how devastating it is to a family, to an individual when they get disconnected from employment. And by and large, we believe the program has been incredibly successful, but it has room for improvement. And we've learned from those things and along the way with some of the different changes that were made in providing more flexibility and the like. This new program comes at a timely moment because we are now beginning to see that as the PPP funds are being exhausted, some companies are having to face, once again, the potential of having to lay off some of their workers. And so that's why it is time for a second round of PPP assistance. A lot of the provisions will be very familiar. You've heard them already, the 2.5% payroll and so forth. But some are new because we really wanted this to be more targeted. And that's why it's the 300 employee or less standard, and you have to have 50% or more of revenue reduction. We also understand that some communities have been harder hit for a variety of different reasons. That's why, and especially the sort of micro businesses, smaller ones, some of these funds will be set aside for employers that have 10 employees or less to make sure that the money doesn't run out without that group of small businesses getting the assistance they need. In addition, we know that minority and underserved small businesses have been disproportionately impacted by the lockdowns that we have seen. And many of them obviously often lack significant cash reserves. They've historically faced challenges being able to get traditional means of capital. And so as part of this proposal, separate from PPP, in addition to it, we're proposing an additional type of loan, which would be longer term, more targeted, and low interest. It's designated for small businesses that are either seasonal employers or are located in low-income communities and have 500 or fewer employees. It provides them flexible, long-term working capital to help ensure that these most vulnerable and underserved small businesses don't go out of business because of the pandemic. It would allow them to borrow up to 2 times their annual revenues on a 20-year loan term at 1% interest. Again, don't confuse that with PPP. This is a separate target product to try to help those who are in low-income neighborhoods as defined either by their census tract. So consider, for example, a small business with $400,000, a 5-year loan at 7.5% interest rate. That today would be equal to $8,000 monthly payments. But if they're able to refinance that existing loan at 1%, the payments fall to $1,840. So it's an additional amount of assistance. Bottom line is, I think we all recognize the importance of small business. We should all recognize this is not a bailout. These are viable businesses. Then the only reason they're struggling is because the government has stepped in, like it does, for example, in eminent domain, and said, for the public good, it is important for us to infringe upon your right to make money and conduct business. And I think when government does that in the public good, just like in eminent domain, the government also has an obligation to step forward and help these companies from going out of business. Otherwise, we will lose not just the backbone of our economy, but the millions of jobs that come with it, and the impact would be catastrophic.